If you've ever cooked up a picanha, you know it's juicy, it's tender, and it's super flavorful. And then matched up with the world's famous chimichurri sauce, it can't be beat, or can it?
A big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
Chances are you've already cooked up a picanha once or twice in your life, or you haven't, and then this video is a must watch. But I like to give myself a challenge by doing things better, and that's what we're going to do today, because we're going to cook a picanha with a Texas chimichurri dip. Yes, you know it's going to be good. All right, let's get this party started. I got us a lovely picanha. Let's get it out of the package. Look at that. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit with a paper towel, get rid of some of that moisture out of the bag. Good amount of intermuscular fat, nice thick fat cap on top. As far as the fat cap is concerned, we got a lot of layers of fat. You see this? This is a little bit too much. That's not gonna render off. So I'm gonna trim that fat cap down a little bit. This is about 1.2 kilograms, and a picanha is never considered to be that big. Even if you have bigger cows, because a traditional picanha would be around 0.8 kilograms. You see, we still have a big blob there. That's gotta go. This is starting to look good. Well, now it's a nice, even, clean-cut picanha that's gonna taste better. Less silver skin, so it means less chewy, and it's gonna have less fat. For the seasoning of the picanha, I'm gonna use two types of seasoning. One that goes onto the fat cap and the one that goes onto the meat. You see, the meat side needs flavor, and therefore I'm using the PITMASTERX beef seasoning. A nice thick layer will do the job. Lots and lots of flavor. It will bring out the best of the beef flavor. And this is a thick piece of beef, so you can have a little bit more seasoning on the outside of this beef. Now the fat side's a different story. That's where we only want to put salt. But more importantly, there's a good reason why they put salt on the fat cap. You see, during the cook, the fat renders down and becomes this delicious crispy crust, just like with pork belly. Now we got the beef side beautiful seasoned as well as the fat cap. I'm going to put this away, set it aside, and let the seasoning draw in for about half an hour or so, just to get it really connected and mixed well with the beef. And while we patiently wait for our picanha to cook, you and me are going to make the Texas chimichurri dip. Yeah, I already see the frown on your face. The what? Yes! Trust me, this is going to be good. You're going to love this. We're going to start off with a bunch of fresh parsley. I'm going to chop that fine. Now you got to keep in mind when you're chopping things is what you're going to do with it. Are you going to eat it straight up? Is it going to go into a pan? Are you going to cook it? And in this case, it's pretty much eaten raw. So that means that we need to chop this up real fine so it doesn't get stuck in your teeth. I'm also going to need a clove of garlic, and that's going to be pressed. Next up, a tablespoon of dried oregano. And instead of using chili flakes, we're going to use something better. We're going to use chipotle flakes. Now the cool thing about chipotle flakes is that it's a smoked pepper. So it's going to give us more flavor than the chili pepper. I don't know why it's not a thing yet, but that's what we're solving today. I'm going to add about half a tablespoon of that. And you can add as much or as little as you like, depending on how much heat you can actually stand. Now chipotle is quite a mild pepper, but it's still, well, it's still there. It's, you know, you will notice. Next ingredient is 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, 100 milliliters or half a cup of olive oil, and of course we need to season it with pepper and salt. But instead I'm using the PITMASTERX Texas barbecue rub, and that's how we're bringing the Texas into this. So about 2 tablespoons of this will do the job. You see, I'm totally into dips nowadays, and actually dips made out of yogurt. And you know what that yogurt does? This is Greek yogurt, by the way. What the yogurt does is make everything, I don't know, light and creamy and rich, but really light, not heavy like mayonnaise. So about 100 milliliters of half a cup of yogurt will do the job, and then just mix it in. Mix it in. Yeah. There we go. Make sure we get all of that olive oil mixed in with the yogurt. That's what really makes this into a dip. It's going to be one big, rich, creamy, flavorful dipping sauce. Now the best time to do this is immediately after you put on the picanha, so that you can let this rest a little bit. In the fridge, of course. And then, once the picanha is ready, you're going to pull this out, and you're going to see how good this actually is, because if I eat it right now, it's going to be nice, but if you eat it after 30 minutes, it's going to be super flavorful. Whoa. Time to fire up the Napoleon Grill. I'm going to open it up first Turn on the burners. I'm gonna set both left side burners to full throttle. And then I'm gonna give it some time to warm up. The temperature inside the grill is running at about 140 degrees Celsius, which is almost 280 degrees Fahrenheit. So that means I can now put my picanha on. But remember this is the hot side. But I'm gonna put the thinnest piece of the picanha towards the coldest part of the grill. So all the radiation heat from the burners are gonna be caught by the thickest part of the picanha. Now this is called indirect heat and it's gonna slowly cook my picanha. Now in about an hour's time, the picanha is done. Of course you wanna always check it with your thermometer. Make sure you got it up to 54 degrees Celsius or a little bit above. And then take the picanha off. And look at that. Oh, that is a beautiful thing. I just want you to take a moment and appreciate the crust that we built up on this. Now, important step in building up flavor and a crust because you're heating up the steak. But if you do that without the seasoning, the crust is not just going to be beautiful. It's just going to be like a grayish crust and not really there. But with the seasoning like this, it's going to build up more. And even on the fat cap, with just the salt, you see that it crunched up on the outside. Let me give you an example of what that sounds like. Now, of course, this crust is not done yet because I got a bald spot here in the middle. So we're gonna work on it a little bit more later on. But for now, I have to let this cool down a little bit. Let's turn it on, get the lid off. Now I'm gonna raise the stainless steel grill grate and set it to the highest position. All I need to do now is wait for it to become a red glowing hot and we're ready for the last phase of this cook. While we wait, we might as well do a giveaway. This is the cutting board from Napoleon with the knife inside the box. That knife is this knife. This knife has been in my possession for almost 4 years and it's a dream to work with. It's got all the features that you need in a really good chef's knife. Now this giveaway is for everyone that orders in our web shop, shop.pitmasterx.com. If you ordered there in the last month, you're automatically in. If you left a review, then you have 2 entries in this giveaway. So go check out our web shop if you haven't seen it yet, if you haven't ordered there. If you have, you're a participant and you might get lucky. Question that I get a lot is how long should I rest it for? And that all depends on the surrounding temperatures. It's quite hot out right now, so that means I'm going to be resting for a longer period of time. Because what I need to happen is for this roast to stop cooking. The outside of this roast is hotter than the core temperature. And I need it all to come together and be one even temperature. And then we can start thinking about searing, which we're going to do on the sizzle zone. All right, you ready for this? It's so hot, it's so crazy hot. Gotta rotate it around a little bit, make sure that everything gets a little bit, and just once it starts really searing and melting, and you can see it, look at that beautiful way the fat is rendering down. We definitely need that fat to render down, but we don't want it to burn, so just a little bit. That's why I'm flipping it around, giving it a nice sear on the other side as well. Turning down the burner all the way to the lowest setting a little more, and that is now done. As you can see, I left all the juices on the board because once we start slicing into this, we're just gonna let it come together again. A tablespoon in there, and then it's time to do the magical job. Now, it's an important step, slicing up. This is like a real job. You gotta understand what you're doing. So you're gonna be looking for the grain. The best way to do it is to stretch the meat a little bit. And you can see the directions that the grain is running into. You see that this is running in this direction and here it's running a little bit like that. So we're gonna be slicing like this. And if you're slicing picanha, please slice it thin because you're gonna have a better experience just slicing thin. Look at the knives running, just slicing through the meat. You definitely wanna enter that contest, guys. Look at this. This is what a slice of heaven looks like. Now I want to play this up real nice. So I'm not gonna do this in the traditional way. I'm gonna cut this picanha up into 3, just to make it look even better than it already does. Put some of our delicious sauce on. A couple of tablespoons, and then just, there we go. There we go. First 1, 2, 3. Whoa. Just look at how beautiful it is. You're gonna make a lot of guests very, very happy with that. Now, if somebody would present me this in a restaurant, I would go more often. But since nobody does, I'll just have to do it myself. Time for the overall taste test. Don't you hear it? Are you not entertained? This is so good. Yahoo! You'll just have to find out for yourself. The recipe's on a website, but I promise you, you're gonna love it. You're gonna more than love it.